All right, welcome to Supply Chain Management. We're going to talk today about some technology that's coming out, and kind of the way that technology can integrate with supply chain, because we tend to take um, some technology things for granted, um, but they are making an impact in maybe some areas um, that if you're not involved in business currently, maybe you haven't thought about. I mean, we all know that you've got the internet, you can search things, you've got your iPhones and iPads and all of the consumer side, all the consumer benefits of technology. But it's also important to think through how the internet and advanced communication now is enabling businesses to be able to communicate much more efficiently. I mean, there was a time, when you sent an order that that there was a lot of phone calls going on, a lot of double checking things to make sure that stuff was right. And you get that a little bit, but it's become much more automated. For many businesses, I mean, they're ordering millions and millions of products monthly, particularly retail companies and things, and it's just too much to do over the phone or with hands-on things. It really is an automated computer system that manages this stuff, and so there's some key components to the automated system. Take, for example, Walmart. You've got warehouses, right? So obviously that's a warehouse, right? And over here, this very different rectangle is obviously Walmart, right? So we'll put Walmart there and warehouse here, right? Okay. Because Walmart doesn't keep everything that the company owns in its retail locations, even though they're very large. At the retail locations, they don't keep anything. There's no back room at Walmart, really. I mean, there's like a loading area where stuff comes in to be immediately put out on the shelves. But it's not like how like sometimes, for example, shoe companies like Foot Locker or something. The majority of what they had was on the back, so you'd have to send somebody to the back to figure out if they had it in stock or not, right? But Walmart and a lot of these big box stores now are kind of doing away with that, and they just have it all in one place. You just walk around, obviously, and find it. But that doesn't mean that they don't have stores of things, of inventory, right? Because to ship directly from a manufacturer to Walmart would create too much chaos, right? I mean, think how many different retailers Walmart carries. I mean, it's thousands in every store. And so, I mean, to be getting a shipment in to every store, and then all of a sudden, you've got kind of a free-for-all there, and then it raises the costs, right, for everybody, because we'll put this down here. This other rectangle is clearly Mom and Pop's peanut butter. Right. Mom and Pop's peanut butter. And so they manufacture peanut butter to sell, and they finally were able to get the Walmart contract, right? In order for the Walmart contract to be lucrative, the reason that the Walmart contract is lucrative, rather, it would be a better way to say it, is because there are thousands of these Walmarts, right? And so if you get the deal at one, typically you get it at a majority of the others. Often they may start you off with a region, right? See how you do, see how your product sells, and if the product meets a certain criteria or standard, then they may put it in all of their stores. But they kind of take that on a case-by-case basis. But obviously the reason that Walmart is so desirable is because there's so many retail locations and so many people go to Walmart. And so if you can get your stuff into Walmart, then there's a good chance that your sales obviously are going to go through the roof. So for a small company like Mom and Pop's, to be able to get that, to be able to sell their peanut butter in Walmart now is huge. However, could you imagine if Mom and Pop had to send a shipment of peanut butter to every one of these 3,000 Walmart locations, right? I mean, what a nightmare that would be. It would totally erode all of their profit margin, right? Because they're sending so much in shipping, and not only their profit margin, right? But then prices go up for everybody, Walmart, for us, all of these extra shipping costs, because, and mom and pop, this Walmart may only sell 10 this month of their peanut butters. And so they can't, they can't send a whole truck. I mean, so they got to figure out something, and then so they're not getting any kind of economy of scale, right, where they're sending an entire truckload somewhere and getting a discount. They're just one box among hundreds on that truck, and so they're paying, pretty hefty amount for that box or whatever. And so the alternative solution then is, what if mom and pop could send, say if there's 3 of these main warehouses, one for each, right? So one for the West Coast, one for the East Coast, and one for Central, right? So it's not Mickey Mouse, that's 3 warehouses, okay? And so what if mom and pop could hit all 3,000 Walmarts by just sending out 3 shipments instead of 3,000, right? And so that's the core model there. So that basically what mom and pop have to do is make sure that these warehouses get their product. Then what Walmart does is they say, okay, we've now got all this stuff in our warehouses. This warehouse here, the East Coast one, is the one that supplies this particular Walmart. And so Walmart pays for a truck to come over, but what's on that truck is just what Walmart needs, right? So what's coming in on this truck is not 10 things of mom and pop's peanut butter. It's 10 things of mom and pop's peanut butter and whatever else that they've run out of that they need for that particular day gets packaged onto a truck and sent, so that the shipping cost becomes much lower, because this truck that's coming over to Walmart is packed with exactly what that Walmart needs from out of the warehouse, right? So the retailers, or the manufacturers rather, send it to the warehouses. Walmart keeps all their inventory up. They send it to their individual stores as they need it, right? And there's 1 or 2 vendors that have a different relationship with them. I know that there are some bread companies and things that have to be made fresh, and some of the soda manufacturers will come in and stock their own stuff in some of these stores. But for the most part, this is how everything works. And so then the next thing is customers come in and customers then leave with mom and pop peanut butter, and they take it home and they enjoy it, right? Okay. So the question is, how does the warehouse know what to send this Walmart, right? So there's 2 things that go on. First of all, executives and people meet and they make a decision with mom and pop about how much they're going to carry. They make an order, and mom and pop then are responsible to fulfill that order to said warehouse, right? So they make sure that part is done. And when it comes in, they double check, make sure mom and pop sent them everything they were supposed to, and so there's an inventory kind of check process as things come in. Where it really becomes interesting is how these warehouses are able to communicate with the retail stores. And it all centers on point of sale transactions. Point of sale. Point of sale is, as the name implies, where the sale takes place, right? The cash register. So you've got the barcodes and those types of things. So not only is that cash register adding up your total so that you know how much to pay. That's the part that we always see, that we're understanding, okay, the register is there to tally up what I owe so that I pay them for what I owe. But that's not the only thing that's going on. That register is also sending information to the warehouse saying, okay, we just sold one of these and one of these and one of these and one of these and one of these, right? And so, and they have it set up that say, if there's 4 of them in a box, that as soon as 4 of them are sold, it sends an automatic signal here, we need a box of those at this Walmart. And it's a pretty elaborate system that Walmart has, and I'm giving a very simplified, rudimentary version of it. But this is basically what happens. So the point of sale, when you're purchasing things, it is being monitored, and that's how they keep track of their inventory, is through point of sale, right? And so, I mean, could you imagine Walmart trying to go through down their aisles every day and count how much stuff they've sold? Technology is a big part of why Walmart has been able to boom, right? Because grocery stores for a long time had to pay people to go down and monitor things, and they might be out of something, and they'd have to go in and it was maybe a manager's job that was in charge of that, and they'd go down and they'd make up the order for the week. Very time-consuming, often unreliable. You're able to get by, but it's not as sophisticated as this, and not able to handle such a large amount of orders like what Walmart has. And so now their point-of-sale things is communicating back to this computer network, and this computer network is then saying, okay, this warehouse, you need to put together this and this and this and this, and they put together an order for a truck, and then then you've got people in the warehouse that have this printed out order that says, I need this and this and this on this truck, right? And then they just load everything up. It shows up at this Walmart, and then it's there and it's ready to go. And there is flexibility within their system. Different stores maybe have different needs. So here in Central Florida, you will find a very elaborate, large section for kind of touristy kind of gifts, right? Disney beach towels and lots of water game kind of things, floaties for the kids, for their arms, and all kinds of Disney mugs and T-shirts and all kinds of stuff that you wouldn't find in other Walmarts. So there is flexibility within the system, but this is the general framework. And so kind of what I'm getting at today is the role that technology plays. We're very familiar with it in terms of our consumer use, how to use the internet, how to use the computer, how to use our cell phones and iPads. But there's just as many breakthroughs going on in business-to-business applications for technology. And so one of them is inventory control, that these point-of-sale cash registers are generating all the information that the warehouses need to be able to make sure that the store stays fully stocked. So that's one element of technology that's really helping. Another one, we've got an entire class on internet business, and so that's a major area of technology that is helping, particularly with supply chain stuff, because now with an e-business, you've got warehouse, right? Clearly a warehouse. And then over here is your house. Not really, but for example. And that little dot there is the invisible internet, right? And so now there is no middleman, right? And so the supply chain, you get, this is the warehouse. A lot of warehouses are warehouse now / manufacturer. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but for now we'll just assume this is a warehouse. The warehouse gets in products from various locations, right? Holds them, and so many entire businesses are just this. It's a warehouse somewhere that says, hey, I'll sell your products for you, creates a website, and that's all they do, is they make sure that their warehouse stays full of products so that when you go on their website, they can buy it. One major example of this, of a company that's exploded by doing this, is Amazon, right? Amazon is essentially just a warehouse with a website, right? But they're massive. And they've become very complicated in being able to get you things very quickly and in the way that they do it. But if you wanted to sell something on Amazon, you ship it to their warehouse and they will sell it for you, right? For a fee, right? or you can sell it from your house through their website, and then you're responsible for shipping it. So all of these are just really ways of understanding how to make the supply chain work, how to bridge the gap between the consumer and the manufacturer. And so warehouses become an integral part in that, because there's inevitably a time period of lag where the product has been built but not yet purchased. And so companies that are able to capitalize on that lag, right, make quite a significant amount of money. And so they create the space, and they tell the manufacturer, hey, listen, we will distribute these things for you. People come through our website. And so for them, then the issue becomes building an effective website and being a fast, reliable shipper, right? Because if they're not getting it to your house in a reasonable amount of time, then their value to the manufacturer drops significantly, right? Because nobody's going to keep buying. And so brand reputation, popularity of the website, the amount of money they sink into AdWords and other places to be at the top of search engines, all determine the relative value of this warehouse, right? And so, but there's a lot of people that are using this same basic model, renting some warehouse space and connecting with people who are looking to sell their stuff and saying, hey, I've got this warehouse space, I'll hold it for you, and when we sell it, we split the profits, right? And that's how a lot of these businesses are going now. And the reason that works is because it cuts out the retail expenses, all the operating costs associated with operating a retail location. The reason that this is good is because, say if you had a 5,000 square foot warehouse in a 5,000 square foot retail location, which one would cost more, right? Now, some warehouses are becoming very complex, like Amazon's is extremely complex and is probably pretty expensive per square foot compared to some warehouses. But by and large, the rule is a warehouse would be much cheaper, right? Number one, it's just a big open room, right? And so there's not as much infrastructure within the building, but that's not the main reason. The main reason that a warehouse is cheaper is location, right? Because in order for a retail store to work, it's got to be right in the heart of town. It's got to be in the main area. It's got to be on a very busy street, someplace where people are going to see it and be able to get to it easy. They're going to have a lot of drive-up traffic. And so the retail locations, the cost of the real estate is sky high for retail locations, right? But a warehouse, you can put that out in a field somewhere. It doesn't even matter where that's at. You don't want it to be too far away, because then, but I mean, it could be just, it doesn't have to be right in the center of town. It could be out in some cheap farmland that you were able to purchase, and you put your big warehouse out there, and all of a sudden your costs are way lower than the guy that had to put the store right in downtown, right? And so it cuts off a lot of your hard costs that are associated with the building itself, right? And then, you don't have some of the same level of operating costs, being, retail things. You may have longer hours at the retail location because you're trying to catch customers. Whereas in the warehouse, you've got your set amount of time, you've got your orders, you tell everybody when they work. It's a much more efficient process sometimes, because in the warehouse, you've got your jobs, you know what you're doing, whereas in retail, sometimes it's busy, sometimes it's not. So there's a little flexibility with all businesses, but on the retail side, it's a little worse than on the warehouse side, right? So a few other things that technology has been able to do for us that I'll just do real quick. Electronic data exchanges, and let me just throw this out there on the e-business. In terms of how this connects with supply chain management, e-business is a major technology that has totally transformed supply chain possibility, right? So that's what I wanted you to get out of that part, that now that you don't have to have a retail thing, that all of a sudden it's created a totally different supply chain possibility, right? Bypass retail, go straight to consumer from warehouse. And then the other thing that you're seeing now would be the example like Dell. is a manufacturer, and so Dell is manufacturer to consumer. They've got their manufacturing, their warehouse, all kind of combined, in theory there, and so you just go right onto Dell's website. They are the manufacturer, and they'll ship it directly to you, right? Whereas some things, you've got a manufacturer over here that ships it to the warehouse, and then the warehouse ships it to you. But you're starting to see increasingly more businesses that are large manufacturers are just their own direct-to-consumer thing. And so they kind of, it's a two-step process. Manufacturer to consumer, whereas some other things like Amazon is a three-step process. Manufacturer to Amazon, Amazon to consumer, right? A couple other quick things. Electronic data exchange. Just how Walmart's warehouse is able to connect with their store with point of sale, that same basic thing can occur with other business things. So it doesn't have to be just Walmart's warehouse to Walmart's retail store. They're often then out of the warehouse. When the warehouse's supply of Mom and Pop's peanut butter gets low, there's an automatic order sent to Mom and Pop's to refill their peanut butter section, right? And so the connection is not just intercompany between Walmart's warehouses and Walmart's retailers, but there are also electronic data exchanges that take place between Walmart and outside businesses, right? And so the electronic data exchange is just where something is sent from one company to another electronically, and the order is like that. It's an automated process for keeping inventory levels high. And then we talked about the point of sale. The RFID chips, I don't know if you're familiar with those, radio frequency identification chips, are things that they're putting in different products now. And basically, it's the same concept of when they put those little tags inside of an expensive item and it goes off when it goes outside of the store. That's the RFID chip. It allows them to put something in merchandise, and if somebody's stealing it, the scanner beeps, right? But that same technology can be used for inventory, right? So say if you've got a box with 200 of whatever it is you sell, you put one RFID chip in there, and for every RFID chip that goes past the scanner, that was 200 of my items. And so on one part of your warehouse, you've just got a scanner, and it's scanning these boxes as they come through, and it's keeping track of how many you're sending, right? Because it knows for every chip, that means this many. And so you're able to keep track through RFID. Another neat thing that they probably will do at some point with RFID is if they have, because now they don't have to be the big, thick plastic things. Now they've got them as a thinner, almost like a barcode, something that just goes right on the outside of the package. And so what that would mean then, just like the item, when it gets in front of the scanner at the door, sends off the alarms, well, they can do something similar, that when the item gets to a scanner, it rings it up, right? Instantly. And so what they can do now, they haven't, I guess some places have, but it hasn't become mainstream, is that you have one of these scanners, you've got your RFID chip on everything in the store, somebody's got their cart full of merchandise, they pull right up to the station there, like a cash register just without the person. They pull right up to it, put their cart there, it instantly scans everything in their cart, gives them the total, they swipe their credit card, pay for it, and they walk right out. They didn't have to take anything out of their buggy, they didn't have to have anybody ring anything up, they just put their buggy right up to the thing, it scans every RFID chip in there, pay for it, and go, right? But that technology of being able to scan and monitor merchandise is becoming more and more prevalent in inventory and warehouse management as well. And then the only other thing that's kind of neat with these warehouse manufacturing things, and I'll kind of end it with this, is the customization angle. That what this allows is, instead of having to keep 10,000 of a particular computer of all of one kind in this warehouse, what's happening now is when a person sends their order to Dell, it has customizable features. How much RAM do you want? What size monitor? Do you want a printer? Do you want a warranty? Do you want an extra a hard drive in it or something. You know, all these different options. And so it will build a computer that is specific for you based on your options. When that order comes through the internet, it sends a signal to the manufacturing plant and puts your order in the line so that it will manufacture only the orders that are coming in. So they're not having to spend much time in warehouse space because the only thing that gets built is the orders that are coming in. And so it builds them instantly as the order comes in. And so this is a new trend in manufacturing, and it's going to be even more and more. It's the customization trend, right? That the draw for the consumer is I get the exact thing that I want. The draw from the retailer is we can build it right when they order it and not have to store any of these completed products. And then what we ship to them is exactly what they wanted. And so we don't have to make a whole bunch of general computers that maybe some people may want, some won't. We make only the one that we know you wanted because you just ordered it. And so it's going to be a much more efficient system, and you're going to see that more and more of this ability to customize exactly what you want. So those are some things for this quarter of, these next 2 weeks of your kind of independent study. What I want you to focus on is the role that technology plays in making an efficient supply chain. Because in the future, you're not going to be able to have a real efficient, competitive supply chain without integrating these different technology components. And so you need to start becoming familiar with them and understanding the role that technology plays in creating a streamlined system of supply chain management. Okay.